Number one. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Tremendous show, tremendous success.
Hello everyone, Mark the Statman Skevich, Real Fans, Real Talk, here with one of the iconic Knicks legends, one of my personal favorite players, the one and only John Starks. Thank you for coming on to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
Great to see you out here supporting the kids, still being involved with the Knicks organization, supporting the family on three. Now, what motivated you to get involved with charity events like this?
I've been doing a lot of charity events pretty much my whole career, along with, my foundation. Then, obviously, Anthony Jr. had started this foundation for his father, in honor of his father. And so we just wanted to collaborate and do something for the area out here.
Now, let's talk about your career a little bit for some of the younger folks out there that might not be familiar. You had a very illustrious career with the Knicks. It didn't start out so illustrious. You started with Golden State. Things didn't work out too well. You left the NBA for a bit. You tried out for the Knicks. And then there's the one of the few people where an injury actually did good for your career. You tried to dunk on Patrick Ewing, which is, I got to admire it, definitely. But can you tell us what was going on in your mind at that practice when you tried to dunk on him?
Well, it was the last day of cuts, and so I felt like, I had a pretty good preseason, but you never know. I thought that I possibly would stick with the team, but I just wanted to do something very special that last day. Came in with the attitude like this is a playoff game, and just wanted to impress the coaches a little bit more. And so I got an opportunity on a breakaway to go up and dunk the basketball. And I tell this story all the time. I forget Patrick Ewing, the 7-foot who could jump. And so he got to the rim a little quicker than what I expected, and he caught my dunk. I came down and twisted my knee. But in doing so, it gave me an opportunity to get on the injury reserve, which I didn't know if you put on the injury reserve, they couldn't cut you. So it gave me an opportunity to stick around and be around the team until I got a chance to play.
And speaking of dunks, you have a much more famous dunk that is actually just simply called the dunk. Like, I mean, it's almost a definition of posterizing, dunking, especially Jordan and Horace Grant. You had the pick coming, you faked left, you went right baseline, dunked on Jordan and Horace Grant. I have the poster personally when I was growing up. What does it feel like to have a dunk known as the dunk?
Well, it feels good. Obviously, it wasn't something that I was expecting, but you hear in the media capital of the world, and they come up with some great sayings. And so that particular play happened during the playoffs in 1993 against the Chicago Bulls, and it was just a play that just was spontaneous and nothing that coming down the court and say I'm going to go in there and dunk on Horace Grant and Michael Jordan. It just the opportunity presented itself, and I just went to the hole hard and knew I had to go in strong and completed one of the most memorable plays in New York Knicks history.
Definitely in basketball history as well. Now, when we interviewed Anthony Mason Sr., he had some interesting stories with Pat Riley, some funny stories. You had the privilege of playing for one of the coaching greats in history. Any funny stories out there with Pat Riley, or?
Not too many funny stories. Coach Riley was obviously a very serious coach, and throughout the course of 4 years, 5 years that we got a chance to be around him, it was just incredible. He's a man of great integrity, a very focused individual, very preparative for us getting his teams ready to go out there and compete night in and night out. And a very intense coach. And so those teams that I played on along with Anthony was some incredible teams. The strength, the mental strength that we had during that time and the ferociousness that we had out there on the court came from Coach Riley, and that's the team that he wanted to put together to represent New York because this is a city, a blue-collar city and a hard-working city, and so he wanted to make sure that we was a hard-working team that represented this city in a very fine way.
Now, the Knicks had a little bit of a pretty big problem, the same problem everyone else had in the league, and that was called Michael Jordan. But he did retire, and the very following season, as a lot of people predicted, you guys made the NBA Finals. 94, the Rangers win the Stanley Cup. Can you tell us what the mindset was for you going in, the New York City buzzing between the Rangers and Knicks both making it to the finals?
Well, it was exciting times during that time. Obviously, the Knicks as well as the Rangers was in the finals at the same time. I talked to people during that time, fans say they didn't sleep for about 2 months, because when we was on one night, the Rangers was on the next night, and so it was just an incredible feeling in the city. Wherever you go, couldn't buy a meal, couldn't buy a drink, you couldn't buy nothing for yourself. So it was a lot of fun times. Just going into that finals, we felt like that we had a great team and that we worked very hard to get to that point, and we had a great opportunity to bring a championship here to New York. And so, but we was going up against a great opponent in the Houston Rockets, and with arguably one of the greatest centers of all time, in Hakeem Olajuwon, and they had a very solid team. We was evenly matched. We played the same style of basketball. And it was just a team that, who wanted it the most. We wanted it just as much as they did. Just unfortunately, especially in Game 7, the worst game that I possibly could have, I didn't play as well as I wanted to do, obviously. But it was a lot of fun, going and be able to compete for a title and knowing that you got an opportunity to bring a title home.
Now, you mentioned Game 7, but right before that, Game 6, you had an opportunity to win it. Yeah. And I remember as a kid yelling at the TV, you kind of looked like you were laughing a little bit afterwards. I'm like, what the hell are you laughing about? I mean, I know now as an adult sometimes when things go wrong, you just kind of like, oh my God. But what was going on through your mind the last 3, Game 6, after not, I believe it was blocked by Hakeem Olajuwon. What was going on in your mind?
It wasn't. It was just a smirk. You know what I mean? That he got to that shot. You know what I mean? Because I thought I cleared him and had enough space to get the shot off, and it felt good when it left my hand. He just got his fingertips on it. We'd be sitting here talking about Knicks as champions right now, but it took a great player to make a great defensive play, and he probably one other player probably could have made that play is probably David Robinson from a center standpoint, because they're very agile and quick and could jump at the jam. So, but it was just unfortunate that we didn't get the championship. But we just keep fighting, year after year like we're doing right now, and hopefully we can get to that point where we do bring a championship here to New York.
Now, the following year, I mean, you already talked about Game 7. I know. Do you feel, actually, before we move on, that block, did that affect your mindset going into Game 7, or it was just nothing to do with it?
Nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? It just when you're preparing yourself to play a Game 7, you have to go into that mindset like, okay, this is all for the ball of wax, and don't put as much pressure on yourself. Just go out there and play a normal game. And just looking back during that Game 7, I probably put a little bit more pressure on myself to go out there and compete, do the same thing I did in Game number 6. And whenever you do that, you don't go out and play a relaxed ball game. And I didn't go out and play a relaxed ball game. I wanted it, as if you can say that, wanted it too much, and you didn't go out there and just let things happen. And so I would say that I was at the finish line before I ran the race during that game right there. So, but like I say, things happen like that, but you don't let things like that destroy you. You move on and you try to come back even stronger.
Now, the blame was kind of on you by Knicks fans. The following year, the blame kind of fell on Patrick Ewing for the missed finger roll. And, to the people out there that said he should have dunked it, I mean, if you look at the replay, dunking was not an option. It wasn't like he was right underneath the basket, wide open, and tried to put a layup when he could have dunked it. So that's just a little ridiculous. And also, people kind of forget about the fact that he made the game winner in Game 5, and in order to even get to that point to stay alive, and won in Game 6, and then taking it to Game 7. He missed the game. He missed that shot, and then now Pat Riley leaves afterwards. He retires. Now, do you think that the following year or the years to come, if Pat Riley would have stayed, that you guys would have made it back to the finals or won?
That's hearsay. You know what I mean? We got a bad break the following year. Coach Riley did what he had to do. He got a great offer, $40 million. Who's going to turn that down as a coach and to be able to have part of the team? And so, I don't think anyone was upset about his decision for his players because we know, it kind of ran its course a little bit, and coaches know that. Certain coaches know that because Coach Riley's system is a very demanding system, and you have to have a lot of player turnover in order to keep that fresh and not be drowned out by what he's saying. And so he's been in this game long enough to understand that he pushes as far as he could push us. And now we needed a new voice in the locker room. And so I have no ill feeling towards Coach Riley leaving. And, but we had an opportunity, after he left, when Jeff was there, to be able to get back. Unfortunately, we had a couple of incidents with Miami that cost us 2 series, 96 and 97, I want to say. But it is what it was back then.
Now, the finger roll layup, the Pacers end up moving on to play the Orlando Magic. The 30 for 30 documentary just came out about the Magic team. Now, I personally felt that if Ewing would have made the layup, went to overtime, I think you guys could have beaten that Orlando Magic team. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. We had a lot of confidence. And like I say, it just comes down to really miss or makes in this game right here. People don't understand what it took for Patrick to even play in that game. You know what I mean? He had to get his knee drained the day of the game, and for him to play basically on one leg, I can't say enough about his heart and what he meant to us as our leaders. And so if we could have got to Orlando, I felt like that we would have went back to the championship, and that would have been great because we got a chance to face Houston again and redeem ourselves.
All right, now, one of the reasons why the Orlando Magic got swept that year is because, they were going up against the more experienced team, the Houston Rockets. I feel you guys could have beaten the Magic as well, but do you think rematch Houston Rockets, you would have taken it all the way?
Yeah, we felt like we were going to beat them this next time around. We had a little bit more incentive, obviously, losing the year before. And so, we felt like that we had team was a little bit more experienced for the final push. Coming in, still had D Harp, and we had some very solid players on our team. So, we felt like that if we got back there, I was looking forward to get back there, obviously, to redeem myself during that finals, but it just didn't work out.
For those of you who want to know the stats on that hypothetical Magic Knicks, I looked into the archives. You guys actually split the regular season 2 games and 2 games and took them to overtime in one of the home games. So for all you doubters out there, it was definitely a reality that they could have beaten that Magic team. Now you have the dunk. You got a lot of great moments as a Knick. Is there any other moments that aren't as famous as the dunk that kind of stand out in your Knicks career?
Not really. I'm all about team. Really wasn't about individual. Probably winning the 6th Man of the Year award just because that year I had to come off the bench because Allen came. That's probably was the most gratifying from an individual standpoint. But, as a team, we accomplished a lot during that era, and we appreciative that we had time to play with one another and the friendships that we developed during that time still sticks to this day. So, only thing, like I say, well, if I ever had to go back in time and change is that Akeem didn't block that shot and we have a championship. So, other than that, yeah.
I would like that to go back in time and change that too. So another thing around that time, there's NBA Jam, like the video game. Like, what did it feel like being part of a video game? I know even the players nowadays, it's 2K, playing with their own character in a video game. What was that like?
It was great. I didn't really play video games. I put that down once I left high school. But yeah, no, it was great. Obviously, seeing yourself come to life in animation and watching kids come up to you and tell you that they playing you every night. I'm like, how you playing me every night? I'm playing you on a video game. I like, that's special. You know what I mean? Because those type of things you don't even think about growing up. All you're thinking about is putting that ball in the basket and getting better at what you do. And so to be able to, have that in your life and to be able to understand now that you grew up watching Dr. J, now these kids growing up admiring you.
Yeah, I was one of those kids, and this is definitely a surreal moment being able to interview you. And Starks for three in the NBA Jam commentary with Marv Albert and everything. But you're known for the three-point shooting. You actually had the first player to hit 200. Now Steph Curry doubled that. Did you ever think that your record would be broken by that much?
No, I'll be honest with you, I never did get into records. I didn't realize till probably about 4 or 5 years ago that I even hit 200 threes during a regular season. Times is a little different now, the way you can get threes off. But he's just an incredible shooter, because he shoots them as soon as he step across the court. You have to be up on him. And the way they playing defense nowadays is a little different than the way we played back then. Normally your big man is up on the screen. Now they kind of sit back in the lane and give you space to come off that pick. And if you're wide open, if you're a shooter, you're going to knock down a lot of three-pointers. And he does it the best. I've been knowing Steph since he was young, and it's just fascinating to watch him play the game at the level that he's playing at right now.
You talk about defense changing. I was saying you're known for the three. You're also a pretty tenacious defender, and you had the job of guarding Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller. What was that like having that job?
Sleepless nights. Sleepless nights. Those guys was obviously two of the best in the game, and different styles. Because Reggie ran a lot and coming off picks and doing, crafty little things to get his shot off. And Michael, probably don't run you off a lot of picks. He's just going to line you up and see if you can stop him or not. And so, but which was hard to do. My job especially with both of them, is that all I did is try to make it hard for Mike and work to deny the ball to him and just make it tough on him. Reggie, I had to really lock into him because he was always constant in motion. And those type of guys are always difficult to guard. And so when I played him, I always just, lock into him and let the other guys focus on their guys. I just didn't want to get him going because, as you know, once he gets going, he can be a handful.
Now, you said different styles. Who would you say is the toughest you've ever had to defend?
Well, Reggie was the toughest to defend from a standpoint. Why I say it like that, Reggie was hard to defend because he was always running. And Michael was toughest to stop, because he just, like I say, he's going to line you up and see if you can stop him or not. And so, but Reggie running off the pick always was the hardest to defend.
With Jordan, you could do everything right, and he's still going to make the shot. Definitely great seeing you out here for the foundations. Could you tell us about your foundation? I know you come out for pretty much everything when it comes to charity, but tell us about your foundation.
Well, my foundation was started back in 1994 to provide scholarships to graduating high school students that's truly trying to go to school and pursue their dreams. And so I wanted to start this foundation to give them scholarship money to help out and assist with their education. And so we've been very strong, obviously, since 1994. We didn't seen a lot of foundations come and go from an athlete standpoint, but this foundation has been very blessed with a lot of good support. A lot of my peers come out and support pretty much all my events, and so. But we just want to, give kids an opportunity to go on and truly realize their dreams, and so they can do something with their lives, and make a positive impact on society. And for me personally, I've been where they've been. I wasn't, recruited highly out of high school, so I had to go the old-fashioned route. Look for Pell Grants and all those things in order to, go to school. And so I know the process was very difficult, and wasn't a lot of money out there during that time. So I'm just trying to do my part and giving back because God has given me this platform to be able to, help others. And so I think whenever you're given a platform, you should do your best to, try to change people's lives. And that's what the foundation is about, is trying to give these kids an opportunity so they can change their lives for the better.
Definitely. Now, can you tell the folks out there more information on how they could donate to the charity?
Well, you can go to johnstarks.org, and we have all the information on. You can, obviously donate online to the foundation. And so, we're excited. Like I say, we're excited about all the things and all the programs that we have put in place over the years. And so it's, a great thing, moving forward with our foundation. And we just want to, make it bigger and better so we can send more kids to college.
Couple of quick questions before I let you go. You talked about education and everything. What do you think about student athletes leaving early to basically start an NBA career, and the rules that they can't come out of high school anymore?
Well, it's more like a lot of these kids that are leaving high school, and it's not a high percentage of them back then when they were leaving early, stick in the NBA. And now in 3 years, you done, money then ran out, no education, then what you going to do? And so unless you sure, you're a sure shot, and it's hard to say if you're a sure shot or not, school is the best thing for you. Getting your degree is the best thing because you can do so much with that. If you don't make it to the NBA, you can, coach, you can work in the front office, you can do a lot of things with that degree. But if you go to school and you come out, you go to school for what? To come out and get a good job. And if somebody offering you $6-7 million your first year out, I think that's a good
job.
Pretty good job. You know what I mean? But once you get there, though, I think a lot of young athletes forget that stop. You just have to get even more aggressive with what you're doing and honing your skills. I think, I've been around young players, and they think that they done made it and that's it. Before they look up, that third or fourth year come up, you done. And so that's just because they forget you have to work even harder once you get to that level.
Kobe Bryant was one of the players coming out of high school. You actually matched up against him in his younger years. Did you ever think he'd, blossom to become one of the greatest of all time?
He had the attitude. You know what I mean? He had a skill set. Obviously, his father was a former NBA player, Jelly Bean Joe Bryant, and so he had all the credentials. But he also had a mentor in Michael Jordan, and someone who he looked up to, someone he patterned his game after, someone who he has his mentality to go out and work hard and make himself into one of the best ever that played this game. Kobe, he was special. He was very special. One thing you can say about him, he never cheated the game. He always came ready to play. He worked as hard as in practice as he did out there during game time. And, you got to appreciate that for him. So if any young player that exemplifies coming out of high school and what it took in order to stay in the league, he would be the one. Him along with LeBron James is the same mentality.
All right, last question, getting back to college. And do you think that college athletes should be paid?
Yeah, I do. I do. You know, you have to give them some type of siphon in order to, you know, do things that you have to do in college. You know, a lot of colleges is probably now seeing that, hey, if we don't take care of these guys, they leaving early and we're not getting the full benefit of spending all this time recruiting them since they was in the 7th grade, and once they get here, they just 1 year and they gone. And so I think you have to give them some type of stipend in order for them to live a little bit. I always tell them is, you know, athletes are restricted by the NCAA for doing things as far as making money outside of playing the sport, the respective sport that they playing, but they don't give that same type of situation for people that's going to school on music scholarships, that's going to school on academic scholarships. Those people are able to go out and work and make a living and do the things they have to do in order to support themselves while they're in school. But the college athletes think that it was just about the sports, but you bring in millions and millions of dollars to these universities, and you don't get a share of that. They're selling your jerseys and all your paraphernalia that you get for millions and millions of dollars, and you don't get a cut of that. You know what I mean? So why not give them money? You know, why not support them while they're in school, or set up an education fund for them, so when they do leave school, they have some money coming out, you know, for those who don't make it to the league or whatever respective league that they're trying to get into.
Yeah, I'm on 100% agreement with you, especially the jersey sales. I mean, that's your name, and you can't even make any money on it. I think it's a little ridiculous. And it's also taken away from them taking advantage of the full education, which is, you know, what the scholarship is about anyway. They don't even get a full education because they're going to leave after, you know, 2 years or whatever the case may be, because, you know, they're tired of living like that. So definitely in agreement with you. Speaking of jerseys, I do have a John Starks jersey, but I'm a lot bigger now, so probably would fit like up to here. But I'm one of the biggest fans of the Knicks, but a well-known Knicks fan, Spike Lee, is obviously one of the faces of the franchise. What does Spike Lee mean to the Knicks?
It means a lot. You know, he's obviously one of the Knicks' greatest fans and greatest supporters, and, you know, on that sideline when you run out that tunnel, you always see Spike Lee. During my time, he was always there, and he was the inspiration to, you know, all the players.
Regardless, it was a great moment interviewing one of my childhood favorite players, John Starks. Thank you for coming on to the program.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, Mark the Statman Skevich alongside Knicks legend John Starks. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Tremendous show, tremendous success.